Hey Internet, Eric here. Back with another entry in Jean-Claude Van January. So far I've talked about the wonderfully fun uh, Street Fighter and then the decent, I guess you would say, Time Cop. And been wanting to revisit this one for a while. And I've said before that other than Kickboxer, it's my second favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. Have you ever revisited a movie that you thought you loved, but then you realize, man, there's a lot of freaking problems with it? That's what I found out or realized when I watched Bloodsport. Now, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I discuss plot spoilers, specific scenes, what have you. This came out in 1988. Now, don't get me wrong, I have fun with this movie. But, anyways, came out in 1988. Basic plot of this is Jean-Claude Van Damme plays Frank Dux. And he has basically went AWOL from the army because he's going to take place in the Kumite, which is basically an underground, full contact, no holds barred martial arts tournament. And while he is training for, well, not necessarily training for that, while he's preparing for that, he meets he meets his buddy, played by Donald Gibb from Revenge of the Nerds. There's a reporter there trying to find out what's the Kumite all about, and he's also trying to avoid not necessarily his supervisors, but people from the army that are there to take him back. One of them's played by Forrest Whitaker. And eventually, Donald Gibb is injured by Chong Li, played by Bolo Young, and it turns into like a get revenge for the honor of my friend type of movie. It is a fun movie. First off, let's get it out of the way. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Like I said it before, he will not be winning any Oscars. He's okay in this one. He's got some charm. He is definitely charming when he's got his scenes with the reporter. Not necessarily over the top flirting, like he's and failing at it like he was known to do in Time Cop. But he's fine here. He does have a fun rapport with Donald Gibb. And his martial arts is great. You know what I mean? So he does a good job. He's fine. Donald Gibb, like I said, I've known him as Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds. When we first see him, he's an asshole, and I just don't like him. They're on a bus going to where they need to go to the Kumite. He sits behind a pretty girl with a beer in his hand. He puts his legs up on the chair, tries to mac on her, and it's just awful. However, when he meets Frank Dux, and they're at a hotel, and they're playing Karate Champ at an arcade. Karate Champ, one of the worst, if not the worst, fucking NES game. You know, when it comes to controls, they bond over that, and they got good chemistry. You know what I mean? I buy their friendship, and even though they do have some of the cheesy shit at the end when Frank avenges Donald Gibb's loss to Chong Li, they have the whole "if you need me for anything, just call me" type of thing, and they're about ready to make out. You know what I mean? It's that cheesy shit. They're really good together. The actress who plays the reporter, she's fine. She's there to look pretty, sit there and watch the violence, cover her eyes, and try to look like she's interested in Jean-Claude Van Damme. She's fine. The two agents, or I'm going to call them agents, hired by the Army to bring them back. I'll bring back Frank Dux. There's one stern older gentleman. He's fine. Forrest Whitaker is the younger guy who is pretty much getting the shaft. Why do we need to do this? Come on, let's do this. Blah, blah, blah. He's fine. The only other actor of merit or reason to talk about is Bolo Young, who plays Chong Li, the former champion or current champion, I guess you would say. Killed a guy, kicked a guy in the throat type of thing. You know, the dangerous one. Looks intimidating. Looks scary as hell. Built like a brick shithouse. Dangerous. Intimidating. I've already said that type of stuff. And he's just a dude you don't want to fuck with. However, when it comes to like this director, a lot of the times, you know, the facial expressions he makes are really cringy. They're eye roll inducing. There's some times when he's just there and he's just gonna kick some ass. You know, this one guy does a kata before they get ready to go. He just shoots the snot out of his nose to prepare. He does a lot of flexing, does a lot of quick punches, forceful stuff. But when we have to get close-ups on him being malicious, you know what I mean? When he does that final kick to Donald Gibb and his eye, he looks like a fucking Cheshire cat in his eyes. It's awful. I like when he just likes to flex his pecs to the crowd. He wants them to cheer for him. He goes like this, keep cheering for me. I buy that stuff. But when it's like the crazy evil, I'm gonna get you. I'm doing this because I have the bloodlust stuff. Don't buy it. The action's really really good. Lots of good fighting. One-on-one stuff. I think my favorite fight is probably Frank versus. He's not a sumo, but he's not wearing like the sumo diaper, I guess you would say, but he looks like he's wearing like a sumo garb, like E Honda would wear. And he's not fat. He's built like a fucking refrigerator. That's probably my favorite fight out of them all. He takes everything Frank gives to him, bear hugs him, all that stuff. But Frank gets the upper hand, like he's bear hugging him, and I like how Frank headbutts him, like boom, boom, boom. Hits him in the gut, doesn't affect him, so Frank has to do the splits, take a shot every time Jean-Claude Van Damme does his splits, and he punches him right in the dick. And then as the guy's standing there like this, Frank just pushes him on the forehead. I like that. Great montage of fights to the song Kumite by Stan Bush from the Transformers animated movie. You've got The Touch. Great song. Real fun. And it's just Frank kicking ass, Chong Li kicking ass, Donald Gibb knocking the shit out of people, throwing them off the stage. Because the only way to win is either knockout, submission, they have to yell the word mate, or you knock them off the platform. And like Donald Gibb literally just like the guys are fucking trash. That's a great montage. And you have so many fighters. You have like the one guy who's not afraid to take cheap shots. You have the one guy who is like on the ground like a monkey. And I'm not as bad as that sounds because he's black, but he is. He's like on the ground, like on all fours, bouncing around, spinning around, trying to throw his opponent off. I love that guy. Jumping on their backs. He's a lot of fun. Blink and you'll miss Michael or Michelle or Mohammed. He goes by 3 names. Kissy, Tong Po from Kickboxer is in this film. He is the one who gets his shin broken by what is his name? Chong Li, Bolo Young. Either way, he's the one that gets his shin bone broken, the compound fracture. That is Tong Po from Kickboxer, childhood friend of Van Damme. Now let's get to the cheesy shit. So Frank sneaks out of the army to go to the Kumite, but he meets up with his dying sensei, his Shidoshi is what he calls him. And we get flashbacks of how he met his Shidoshi. And Frank, this is when they're kids, teenagers. Frank and 2 other kids sneak into Shidoshi's house. Shidoshi is played by the actor he's in Temple of Doom. He's the one that wants Nurhashi's ashes. You take the girl, I find another. That guy. You know what I mean? In the very beginning. They're in there. They break into his house. They're going to steal like a sword, like a samurai sword or a katana. And the 2 kids, they hear a ruckus in the back. They drop the sword. They get out of here. Frank, let's go. Frank bends down, picks up the katana, puts it away, gets beat up by Shidoshi's son, and then a rivalry between Shidoshi's son and Frank start. Shidoshi teaches Frank, blah, blah, blah. Shidoshi's son does end up dying off screen, and Frank wants to continue on his training. I don't know what the problem was with this actor who plays young Frank. I don't know if he's got a French name. I don't know if there was a language barrier. I don't know if that was his real voice or it was dubbed. But man, I hate to sound mean. I really do. But young Frank sounds like he was on the spectrum. If that makes any sense. I don't want to use certain words. He doesn't seem like he's all too bright. Okay? And his voice and his acting is just awful. I don't know if they're trying to make it seem like Frank was having a hard time learning English. I don't know if Frank Dux is actually Belgium like Van Damme is, but every scene with young Frank is awful. I hate this kid. He's not good at all. The training with once he becomes old enough to be Van Damme is more interesting. I like him having to set the table and pour tea while blindfolded. That is really cool. Again, take a shot every time Van Damme has to do splits. He's tied between like two poles and he gets his arms stretched out, his legs stretched out, that whole type of thing. That stuff's cool. I do like how the blindfold comes into effect in the final match because Bolo Young has to cheat to get an advantage. He blinds Frank. But again, it looks awful because of the camera angle where he just kind of he throws the dust or the salt or whatever it is. It's like they're tablets or they look like aspirin. Crumbles them up and then, but the way the hand is for the angle and the way it barely sprinkles into his eyes, and then Van Damme's, acting hurt, cringy. And then of course he wins in the end. I do like how Bolo Young, Chong Li's character, he beats the shit out of Donald Gibb. You know what I mean? And then we get the cheesy. You got the guy that's from Hong Kong who's showing them all around and telling them everybody. Van Damme runs up to the stage and he yells no because Chong Li's gonna kill Donald Gibb. He doesn't. You got the guy holding Frank back and it's so bad. Van Damme literally points to the fight and yells stop, like he has his hand out like this. 3D for you. It's cringy, and that's where we get the stomp with the leg and the evil Cheshire cat face. Stupid. But for intimidation, Chong Li's wearing because Donald Gibb is kicking ass. He's just in sweatpants, a sleeveless Harley Davidson shirt, Harley Davidson headband. He's got the upper hand on Chong Li, and then again he stopped, and this is cringy. Instead of just celebrating, he's like, yeah, I got him, and then turn around to fight him. Motherfucker literally celebrates for probably like 10, 15 seconds. The director could have trimmed the hell out of that, because that just made him look stupid. Well, Chong Li, after he beats him, he takes the headband. He's wearing that around his knee for like intimidation type of thing. So Chong Li gets beat. Then we have that whole stupid ass scene where he goes back to the hospital. I like how Donald Gibb, as he's recovering, he's drinking a beer in the hospital bed. But Van Damme makes sure to give him his handkerchief back, and then they have the whole love fest. You ever need me, call me type of bullshit. Stupid. Well, eventually, Van Damme has to go back to the United States. Frank Dux, after winning the Kumite, he wins over the army guys that are taking him back, but then he has to go back, and then one final bow to the reporter lady, and then it freeze frames and it says all of Frank Dux accomplishments. He did this. He's got all these records, and then it comes out years later that Frank Dux was full of shit. I don't care. I don't care if it's a false story or any of that shit. As long as it's entertaining, it's entertaining. Bloodsport is pretty damn entertaining. It's been a while since I've seen it. And then a lot of those things, I'm just like, ooh, that doesn't hold up well for me. Like the scene, oh God, the montage where Frank is questioning himself. Donald's in the hospital and he's on the bus. And it's just really bad, lame ballad sung by Stan Bush. And he's sitting on the train or on the bus, and he looks in the mirror and he sees Chong Li. And he turns around and it's like someone else. That type of stuff. It doesn't fit with the theme, I guess you'd say, or the action we've seen before. Or the goofy scene where Forrest Whitaker and his superior are chasing Frank around town, and of course Frank's getting the upper hand. They're falling in water. It's a comedic thing. The music does not fit there. You know what I mean? I was just expecting like Benny Hill music. But that notwithstanding, Bloodsport has probably definitely gone down a bit on my favorite when it comes to Van Damme. Street Fighter is definitely a lot more fun now. That has gone up. But But yeah, if you like martial arts movies, if you like 80s cheese, Bloodsport is for you. Van Damme, great martial artist. Donald Gibb kicks ass, and he's kind of funny. Blonde Chick looks hot. Great fights. Chong Li is an over-the-top villain. But be prepared for some cheesy, cringy stuff. That's it. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Comment below. Click the bell. Comment below. Tell me what do you think. Do you like Bloodsport? Do you hate it? Is it stupid? Do you love it for how cheesy it is? All that jazz. Thank you to everyone who has watched my interview with Germ T. Ripper. It was really cool. I appreciate Germ being so open with some of the personal stuff we talked about. I don't know what I'm going to do next for the next entry into Jean-Claude Van January. Maybe Replicant, maybe Sudden Death, maybe Cyborg, because I've heard that I have that. I haven't seen it in a long time. We'll see. I don't know. I'm definitely going to be talking Sudden Death eventually, and I'm definitely going to be doing a spotlight on Replicant. Everything else is up in the air. And this Saturday, another interview is coming up. I will be interviewing AVN Hall of Famer Melissa Hill. Friend of mine for a long time. We're going to talk about her work in adult films, radio, and now the fact that she's a huge supporter and person behind animal rescue. So that'll be a lot of fun. But that's it. Thank you for watching. All that jazz. Don't know what I'm doing next, but it'll be Van Damme. So see you then. Cheers.